Blake Snell going to the Dodgers did not make things easier for the Red Sox. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and last night Blake Snell signed with the Dodgers. So in today's video, we're going to be breaking down who the Red Sox were immediately attached to after that happened, why they become, I think, the number one target for the Red Sox, and we're going to be talking about how the Red Sox can avoid a very dangerous trend. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so for those of you who don't know yet, one of the top Red Sox targets this offseason is officially off the board, and no, it's not in a Red Sox uniform. Last night, Blake Snell officially committed 5 years to the Los Angeles Dodgers. The official contract was 5 years, $182 million. Of course, being the Dodgers, there was a ton of deferred money lumped in there and a fat signing bonus. I just simply don't understand how the Dodgers are the only team in Major League Baseball who have figured out how to abuse this deferred money system. I mean, seriously, this is something any team in Major League Baseball can do. It feels like a really, really smart way to go about things because now they can have Ohtani, Betts, Yamamoto, Snell, Glasnow, and still be in on guys like Juan Soto, yet no other team in Major League Baseball is doing this. It just doesn't make sense to me, but that's not the point of this video because this is a Red Sox channel. So outside of the fact that the Dodgers appear to be trying to build the Justice League over in LA, the big thing and the trend that I am talking about is a trend that we have seen from the Red Sox over the last couple of years, and that is something that has come out pretty immediately. Both of the left-handed starters have been signed this offseason. When Kikuchi was signed, pretty immediately after, we got a tweet, hey, the Red Sox were interested in Yusei Kikuchi, they just couldn't land him. Now, we don't really know to what degree the Red Sox were actually adamant about signing Yusei Kikuchi. It felt more like the Red Sox were just simply checking out those waters a little bit, right? They expressed some interest, they just didn't really want to dive into the water. We also got a very similar tweet about Blake Snell from multiple places saying, yeah, the Red Sox were in on him, they just couldn't get it done. And this one, to me, is much more apparent, mostly because we do know that the Red Sox were pretty heavily invested in trying to get Blake Snell to the Red Sox. They met with him, they've been closely linked with him this entire offseason, and immediately, my dumb Red Sox brain reverts right back to where we were last year and the year before that, where we became the interest kings of Major League Baseball, interested in everybody, bringing home no one, and that's an immediate scary thought. That's something that the Red Sox need to avoid this offseason because at the end of the day, looking at what's going on for the Red Sox this offseason, the one thing they have to do that they have not done over the last couple of years is they need to land a frontline starting pitcher. They've had multiple opportunities over the past couple of off seasons to do exactly that and just simply weren't comfortable enough to go get that guy. That has to change this offseason. That is a universal thought amongst Red Sox fans, and by all means, it sounds like that is a universal thought behind the Red Sox as well. So to see this and to see this interest king type stuff start to pop up is a really scary thought for us as Red Sox fans. But what I will say is that I don't think it's time to panic yet. One thing that comes with the MLB offseason, because of the length that it has and because signings are mostly spread out throughout 3 or 4 months that they have to sign here, every single person that signs that isn't with the Red Sox feels like an absolutely massive deal. It feels like this is a big, big problem for the Red Sox. And yes, Blake Snell coming off the board is going to make things difficult, which we are going to talk about in a second, but it's also not the end of the world. Yes, the Red Sox wanted Blake Snell, but the Red Sox are going to be interested in a lot of people that they don't end up landing. What matters at the end of the day is who they end up coming home with, and that to me is what we should still be focusing on because there are still other options available on the market that do essentially the same thing Blake Snell would have done. And honestly, there are players on the market right now that may end up being a better fit for this Red Sox team in the long run than Blake Snell would have. And that may have been the reason why the Boston Red Sox didn't end up going to that sort of extra step that we've been talking about, right? Going that extra mile and landing that starting pitcher. We didn't see it with Snell. The question now becomes, are we going to see it with anybody else? So right off the bat, I do think this Blake Snell signing is is going to affect the Red Sox this offseason. It sort of puts into perspective what they're going to end up needing to pay in order to get some of these guys here. It also shortens the market a little bit. It goes from 3 top guys to 2 top guys, and all of a sudden the Red Sox are left with just 2 options, which is going to be really interesting. And speaking of those 2 options, pretty immediately after Blake Snell had been signed, reports started coming out that the Red Sox were shifting their focus even more to one guy on the open market that I think everyone already had a spotlight on. That spotlight just got even brighter. Pretty immediately after the Red Sox lost out on Blake Snell, Bob Nightingale linked the Red Sox even closer to starter Max Fried than we have seen over the past couple of weeks, and that's saying something, right? Because I think for the most part, Red Sox fans have really closely linked Max Fried and the Boston Red Sox, but we haven't really seen any true reports that the Red Sox are truly focusing on Max Fried right now. I think that all changes after last night. He reported basically an hour after Blake Snell was signed that the Red Sox have turned their full attention to Max Fried. To me, this should have been the Red Sox focus all along. I liked Blake Snell. I was really starting to imagine Blake Snell in a Red Sox uniform, but my number one target for this Red Sox team since before the offseason began has always been Max Fried, and I think that's the same sentiment for a lot of you guys. I think a lot of people who are going to be panicking about this Blake Snell signing with the Dodgers would still have preferred Max Fried over Blake Snell, and I think, again, that's another reason why I wouldn't sit here and panic right now. But what I will say that's really interesting about Blake Snell signing with the Dodgers and getting a report like this is that it feels like the Red Sox had Blake Snell as their number one priority. It just didn't work out. And I don't know if that's entirely the case. I still think the Red Sox were in on Blake Snell. We know that they had met with him and all that good stuff, but that doesn't mean they didn't have their sights set on Max Fried as well. I just think Blake Snell's market developed faster than any other starting pitchers is going to develop, especially these upper echelon pitchers this offseason, mostly because he didn't want a repeat of what happened last year. So I understand why Blake Snell is at the forefront, but that doesn't mean that Max Fried isn't at the top of mind for the Red Sox. That's just sort of how these reports are making it feel, and I'm not entirely sure that's the case. What I will say, though, is that Blake Snell signing with the Los Angeles Dodgers is absolutely going to make this Max Fried target much, much more interesting because his original predicted contract from MLB trade rumors was in the 5 to 6 year range, around $26 million a year. I think because this Blake Snell signing, he's probably going to pretty easily blow by that. That is $156 million total. I could see him ending up with a 6-year deal that's worth like $180 million or $30 million a year. We talked about it with Snell. The Red Sox just simply have to be willing to do that. They have to be willing to get a bit uncomfortable with the price attached to go and land one of these guys. You're just simply not going to be able to land anybody. I mean, again, you go back to the Dodgers deferring this money. Red Sox, you know you guys can do that too, right? If you're sitting there being like, man, I don't know, everyone is going to the Dodgers. How do we fix that? Give them a similar contract. Give them a ton of money. Defer money. It helps make your payroll much, much more flexible. It helps make things more appealing for these guys. And not everybody is going to want deferred money. I understand that. But if Max Fried is willing to do that, you should be willing to get uncomfortable with the amount of money attached. Yes, $180 million for Max Fried may sound like a bit of an overpay, but if it's what it takes to get him onto the Boston Red Sox, they have to be willing to do that. John Henry has to be willing to overpay for some of these players, or you're just simply not going to get them on your team. It's been like that for a little bit now. Even last year's market, you were overpaying for a lot of different people. That's just simply what the price is right now on legitimate starting pitching, and there's no way around it. There's no way to avoid it. You are going to have to spend to get this done, and that is exactly what they're going to need to do with Max Fried. I will also say things are going to get a much more competitive in these markets. They were already an extremely sought-after commodity. They were already going to have a really competitive market. There are already going to be teams who are going to try and outbid you for both Max Fried and Corbin Burnes. That gets a little bit more heightened now because you lose out on Blake Snell. Teams that wanted Snell Snell are also going to start pivoting for Max Fried or Corbin Burns. So the Red Sox not only are going to need to cough up more money, they're also going to need to cough up more money than anyone else. And that is, again, a really scary thought because, again, we simply don't know how far the Red Sox are actually willing to go to get some of these deals done. Now, we have reports, we have rumors, we have all that good stuff surrounding the Red Sox, and it all looks really positive. Until something gets done, there's not really any room for positivity right now. I will say, at least I gotta say, between this and trying to figure out where the Red Sox are going to land with some of these free agents and the Juan Soto news, this offseason's already absolutely killing me. I think I may be bald by the end of this offseason, although I'll just keep my hat on so you guys will never know. But man, this stuff is absolutely stressing me out. I'm sure it's stressing you guys out too. I think, again, I just want to reiterate this point because I know there are going to be people that panic. I know that there are going to be people who instantly revert back to what we've seen over the last couple of years for this Red Sox team, but I just want to make it clear. The Red Sox losing out on Blake Snell does not mean they failed this offseason, does not mean they are afraid to spend money, does not mean they are cheaping out. Again, the MLB offseason is just simply far too long to really sort of hammer that home until all the cards have fallen where they lie. Now, if the Red Sox continue to get tweets of, oh yeah, they were interested in this guy, they just couldn't get it done, then we could start to panic a bit. But losing out on Blake Snell, in my opinion, does not really alter the Red Sox offseason possibilities all that much, outside of the fact that you are probably going to be spending more than originally thought on some of these frontline starters. Still, there is a part of me that looks back at what the Red Sox have done over the last couple of years, and these type of tweets immediately scare the hell out of me. They could be in danger of repeating what they've done over the last couple of offseason, and if that happens, boy, oh boy, is it going to be anarchy, not only on this channel, but amongst Red Sox Nation in general, and I gotta believe the Red Sox are looking to avoid that at all costs. But again, we still have a long ways to go. Don't get too frazzled that the Sox missed out on Snell. Don't get too frazzled that they were interested and the Red Sox didn't end up landing him. That's going to happen more times than not over this offseason, just simply with how the MLB offseason goes. Until we get some actual news, though, until we get some players actually joining this Red Sox team, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. For you, how does the Blake Snell signing with the Dodgers change things? Do you like the fact that the Red Sox now have a true spotlight on Max Fried? And how do you think this all plays out in the end? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just simply helps out a ton, and it's the best way to let me know you're enjoying the content. Don't forget, if you want to listen instead of watch these episodes, all you got to do is head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.